Hello, my wonderful, beautiful friends. Welcome back to r/IDontWorkHereLady, where people mistake others for employees when they aren't. And the stories are absolutely crazy. Guys, seriously, every time I read these stories, I think to myself there's no way in heck this stuff goes down. But a lot of you who have worked retail tells me it happens more often than we think. Guys, I don't want to talk too much, so we're just gonna dive in. I hope you enjoy today's stories, and remember, hit that subscribe button if you aren't already. I've debated telling this story for over a year because I still can't believe it happened. So, I was once accused of being a male prostitute and arrested over it. It was years ago, about 2014, during a hot spring evening that it happened. My parents had the kids, so my wife and I went to the bar with some friends. I was the designated driver, along with another person. So after drinking sodas and sitting there for a bit, the music that was playing there was giving me a headache, so I told everybody that I was gonna step outside for a bit. I was wearing a short-sleeved t-shirt that buttons down the front. I unbuttoned maybe half of them. I was also wearing my denim shorts that my wife keeps calling Daisy Dukes because they went above my knees and were tight. I can't remember what shoes I was wearing. Well, I'm standing outside when this woman came up to me. She was dressed in a rather attractive black cocktail dress. We said hello to one another and she asked, "How much?" "How much what?" I went. "How much do you charge an hour?" Now, it took me a moment to realize what she was asking. She then said, "The hotel nearby is good enough for me. I've got protection." Now, I stopped her right there. I was in so much shock that I can't remember what I said exactly, but I told her that I wasn't a prostitute. Now, what I did not know until that night was this street is the best place to rent someone for the night, and she thought I worked the street. Now, I tried to tell her that I didn't work the street, but she offered me money and said that I would not be standing here in my outfit if I wasn't. And then she said, "Come with me." So, of course, a damn cop comes by. And of course, he recognizes this woman. And of course, he thinks I'm selling myself. So I get arrested. I called my wife's cell phone as soon as the police would let me make a call. She and her friends tried to explain to them that I wasn't a prostitute, that I just stepped out for some air. I was still in a cell for a few hours before I was released. My name was clear and my friends and wife still tease me about it. The police had admitted to me that they were wrong to arrest me because they had arrested that woman in the past and thought that I was another streetwalker. They apologized. They actually admitted that what they did was wrong and would be more careful about this sort of thing in the future. And yes, I still get teased about it, but it is funny. I wouldn't be posting it if it wasn't funny. It did not affect my life negatively, I wasn't hurt, I didn't lose my job over this, and I laugh about it. You know what? Sometimes you gotta learn to laugh it off. Even though situations like this are absolutely insane, I feel like the cops should have at least let OP try to prove that he wasn't working the streets. Honestly, if unbuttoning a shirt, wearing short shorts, and talking to someone who's paid for a good time before is all it takes to get arrested, somebody's gotta look into that. So, after work today, I went to my local grocery store because I was out of both waffles and garlic salt, which are both essential to my continued existence in this dystopian hellscape of a country. Now, yes, I just got off work, but my job is extremely casual. I wear jeans and a t-shirt daily. Today, the t-shirt was a navy color with a dinosaur in the middle of a meteor shower, trying not to cry with the caption, "I'm doing my best," on it. All this to say, I should never be mistaken for an employee anywhere. Now, they rearranged the spice aisle for some goddamn reason, so I was trying to hunt down the cheap garlic salt. It was 89 cents versus over $3, so I was determined to find it. I was jamming out to Hamilton, my purse across my body, very clearly a customer, when this absolute witch of a woman rams me with her cart. Now, it wasn't super hard, and I only stumbled a bit, but still, what the hell, lady? I turned to look, and there she is. 60s brown hair Karen with bad highlights, carrying an oversized knockoff purse, with huge sunglasses on top of her head, and a stunningly ironic Trump 2020 face mask on. I pull out one earbud and asked, can I help you?" Karen, in a snooty, condescending voice said, "Shouldn't you not have those on while you're working?" I said, excuse me? And she says, "You millennials are so rude and lazy. Stop messing around and help me find," and then she starts rattling off a list really fast. I told her, "I'm sorry, I can't," and she says, "Did you just interrupt me? I'm a paying customer. You need to help me. I'm the people who keep food on your plates and your rent paid." So at this point, I'm now freaking out because she's drawing attention to this. So I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I just didn't understand." Karen then interrupts and says, "Oh my god, why don't you just go back to Mexico then, if you don't understand?" I was literally baffled at this point. Not because of that astounding display of moronic and hypocritical racism. Oh no, that's too easy. You see, dear reader, not only have I obviously been speaking perfect, unaccented English this whole encounter, and not only have I hardly spoken a word of Spanish since college, and not only was I actually born in Michigan, but I am literally so painfully white. I'm talking horrifically pale skin kind of white. I wasn't even in the international food aisle. How in the world this lady thought I was Mexican still utterly astounds me. I tried to tell her yet again that I don't work there, and she says, "How dare you talk to customers like this? Get me your manager." Manager. Comprendo? Now, I actually looked behind me to make sure this insanity was actually directed at me. At this point, I'm now getting angry, but I'm still too damn polite for my own good and said, "Ma'am, that's really offensive." The lady shrieked and grabbed my arm, and I lost it saying, "Get your filthy hands off me and step back, you racist hillbilly. You don't get to just grab people whenever you want, you entitled good-for-nothing woman. Now back off, I don't even work here." At this point, we've drawn a reasonable crowd, and an actual employee rushes over and steps a little between us. The store employee says, "What seems to be the problem?" Karen, straightening up and glaring again, said, "Your coworker cursed me out and shoved me when I just wanted some help finding things on my list." She tried to act really hurt and scared. Like, y'all, was this woman serious? Did she think nobody else heard her screeching? The store employee looks at me and says, "Yeah, she doesn't work here." Karen responds, "Of course she does. She has an ID badge." She points to my purse, and I look down to see that my work ID has indeed come out of my purse. But it clearly states the chemical company I work for in large, bold, green letters. The store's colors are red and black. The store employee says, "Ma'am, I'm gonna need you to lower your voice and calm down, or I'll have to ask you to leave. Our store employees do not have ID badges like that, and she doesn't work here." Karen then says, "Well, she still assaulted me, and I want to press charges." Now at this point, a customer steps in and says, "That's not true. This crazy lady grabbed that poor girl's arm, and the young lady never touched her." The store employee then looks at me and said, "Ma'am, do you want to press charges?" Now, I regret this, but I shook my head. I couldn't speak at that point. I desperately wanted to go home and get away from this lady and all of those eyes. The store employee nodded in agreement just as the store manager comes over. So at this point, Karen sticks to her story for some ungodly reason and said, "You're letting her go? Didn't you hear me? She attacked me. I want her arrested and deported back to Mexico." So after assurance from the store employee and the manager, they told me I could just leave, and I scurried out of that place without my garlic salt or my waffles. I'll go back tomorrow for the waffles and the garlic salt. For tonight, I need a drink. OP also definitely needed to press charges. Always press charges if somebody gets physical and assaults you, or you can fight back and beat them up. That's the only way they learn. So, let me set the stage. I was in one of those big home improvement chain stores. You know, the one with the big blue logo of a house. First of all, I was in a bit of a hurry as I had a pretty busy schedule that day and just wanted to get in and out as quickly as possible. Well, I walked around for what seemed like forever, pacing every aisle and could not find what I was looking for, which was a common water filter. I also did not come across any employees on the floor, as the only ones I saw were checking people out. I walked down one aisle and saw a Hispanic man. The race will be relevant later, grabbing some items off the shelf. He's clearly not an employee, but he's dressed in nice jeans and a polo. In desperation, I thought, no employees. He might know where the item may be, as he had the swagger of a man who clearly has been in the store a few times. So we begin. I said, "Excuse me, sir, I know you don't work here, but by any chance, do you have any idea where the water filters are?" The man laughs and says, "I know. I think they only keep one employee at a time to work the entire store. So sad, but true. I just picked up some water filters the other day, and here, let me show you where they moved to." I told him, "Oh, thank you. You don't really have to show me. You can just point me in the direction, and I'm sure I can go from there." He insisted we go together. I followed him to the location, and he pointed down an aisle directly at the item I was looking for. At this point, we're both standing in front of the store facing down the aisle when from the distance we hear, "Hey you! Jose! Juan! Carlos!" This lady muttered about half a dozen Spanish names out. Me and the guy kept chatting, not realizing she was hollering at us. Karen then marches towards us and gets right in the man's face and says, "Didn't you hear me call for you? I need some assistance. Do you speak English?" I turn around to see the typical soccer mom Karen. The man says, "Oh, I'm sorry ma'am. I don't work here, but can I help you with something?" So Karen, I guess not hearing the "I don't work here" part, goes off on a rant and says, "You lazy Mexicans. I've been waiting for some assistance for a really long time. What have you been doing?" So I chime in at this point and say, "Excuse me, but you need to calm down." The man suddenly and forcefully swipes his arm in front of me and pushes me backwards in the "I got this" fashion. The guy's still playing it calm, cool, and collective. He says, "I'm sure if you can calm down for a minute, we can get this resolved. Can you please tell me about your problem?" Karen says, "My problem is all of you lazy Mexicans taking all the jobs and then not wanting to work. Where's your damn manager?" So at this point, I feel like I should step in and help this man getting berated and said, "You need to calm down." Karen suddenly lunges for me and slaps me right across my face hard as hell. Out of nowhere, like some kind of ninja, the man grabs Karen's arm. He spun her around so fast, and the next thing I saw was her face planted on the floor. While he's holding one of Karen's arms, he tells me to go grab a manager, and I did. The manager comes running to see what the fuss was about and yelling, "Sir, get off that lady right now. We've called the cops." By this time, the man, who turns out is an off-duty cop, gets his badge out in his hand and flashes it to the manager and says, "I've already called for a car." The off-duty cop then looks at me with one of those "please say yes" expressions and asked, "Would you like to press charges?" As I'm rubbing my face where she hit me, I answered, "Of course I do." Now, I'm not kidding when I say that I have not been hit that hard in years, and I swear I saw stars. The off-duty cop then gets Karen back to her feet, and you can tell by this point that she knows she's messed up bad, and she just stood there not saying a word. The off-duty cop then talks to the manager and explained exactly what happened. A while later, a cop car comes. The off-duty cop, manager, Karen, and the cops all moved outside the store. I stayed back and decided to go grab my water filters while they get it all sorted out. As I walk out of the store, I see Karen being loaded up in the back of the car in handcuffs. And let me tell you, that was a very satisfying sight to see. Guys, what in the world? Listen guys, I don't think I've ever heard a more entitled and racist greeting from a Karen. I can't believe she called the guy by going through a list of Hispanic names. "Hey Jose, Juan, Carlos, etc, etc. Like, what the heck is wrong with you, lady? That is absolutely... I don't even know what to say. It's racist and it's absurd. And just to slap people willy-nilly when they say something you don't want to hear. This lady definitely deserves every bit of being arrested and having charges pressed. I hope she learned her lesson, but probably not. So a couple days ago, I go into one of my favorite restaurants, a Chinese restaurant, to pick up a takeout order. When I get there, the hostess told me it might take an extra few minutes because they've been bombarded by orders. Not an issue. I'll just wait. So while I'm waiting for the hostess to come back with my food from the kitchen, I see some of my cousins at the table eating. They wave me over, so I go say hi and talk to them in Cantonese since I'm Chinese. The next thing I know, I hear a woman say, "Excuse me, excuse me." Now, it took me a minute to figure out that she was talking to me because I looked around and did not see the actual waitress. I make eye contact with this woman and asked, Is there something I can help you with?" She rolls her eyes and replies, "Yes, I've been standing here for 10 minutes and you refuse to even acknowledge me. I want a table for me and my friends." I tell her that I don't work at the restaurant, which she refuses to believe. She then says, "I see you talking to seated customers, and you clearly look like you work here." Mind you, I'm dressed in jeans, a sweater, a mask, and freaking flip-flops. I firmly tell her that I don't work here to leave me alone, and then just turn away completely as I see the hostess come back from the kitchen. And this is when she starts yelling. The hostess runs up and asks what's going on. The woman tells her, "You have this rude girl working here that refuses to do her job. All she wants to do is talk to her friends at that table." She points at the people I was talking to. I've been waiting for 10 minutes for a table, and she continues to ignore me. This is ridiculous. Why would you hire someone like that? Now, at this point, everybody stops what they're doing to listen to her scream. The hostess tells her that I don't even work here, and that just because I'm Chinese and we're in a Chinese restaurant, that does not make me an employee. The woman just stutters a few times before storming out, saying how she'll never come back. I pay for my food, leave a huge tip, all while the owner's apologizing to me about what happened. I told her it was all good, and honestly, it was way more embarrassing for the screaming woman than it was for me. What an insane assumption. I'm speechless. As soon as a person tells you that they don't work here, you gotta drop it. But instead, Karen must be a Karen and had to escalate the situation, giving us many, many entertaining stories. And that, my friends, brings us to another end of I Don't Work Here Lady. Oh, I almost said entitled people because I read entitled people way too much. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the stories today. If you did, leave a thumbs up. And if you missed the last episode on my channel, I will link it right here. A Karen accuses OP of cheating on her husband. And the story just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. Guys, check it out if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I love you.